Welcome to the pod, Steve Clark. What's up, man?
Not much, Murphy. How you doing today?
Good. Great to have you here. I'm so excited.
Thanks for having me.
We've been looking forward to having you on the show. I really like to highlight people on our team and really highlighting what's unique and special about you, because I really do appreciate working with you, sincerely. I say that not just for the podcast, really, for those at home watching. I bring that up because what we're really trying to illustrate is what makes each of our loan originators special and different and unique.
Yeah.
And that's what today's about. So kind of let's kick it off and start with, how did you get started in this glorious industry of mortgages?
I bought my first house in 2018, and coincidentally, my now sales manager did the mortgage for me.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I was in a different outside sales role at the time, and I just remember going through the process and being like, you know what? This sounds really fun. He's getting the opportunity to help people achieve the goal of homeownership. And I was doing loading dock equipment sales and all that type of stuff, garage doors, and it just wasn't as satisfying. I didn't feel the passion in it. And something that I have been able to grow in over the last 5 years since having my sales manager do my first mortgages, being able to have the passion of helping people become homeowners.
Dude, that's awesome. I love that. So do you have a background in real estate, or how kind of, what's your background there outside of loading docks?
I don't have a background per se in real estate. I do have family members that are real estate agents that also is they've been in the industry for a period of time. And so I kind of got to see some of the process before I even jumped in. Partially so with being a first-time home buyer about 6-ish years ago. Yeah. And that's kind of also what drew me in. There didn't need to be, at the time, 3 Clarks on the north side of Indianapolis, all slanging real estate. So the mortgage side of things was a good fit for me.
Good. Okay, cool. So fill me in. So you talked about helping people achieve home ownership.
Yeah.
What really is your favorite part of the job?
You know, my favorite part of the job is when I have people come to me that say, I don't even know that I can purchase a home. I don't know that I make enough money. I don't know if my credit's good. I think I have too much debt. And I love getting strategic with them to be able to figure out a way to get them into a home. Now, it may not always be, their forever home, the turnkey, redone top to bottom, but it is getting them into a home at the beginning, living in there for a few years, leveraging up, using that equity, and then being able to afford maybe that dream home on that second purchase.
Dude, that's awesome. So to that point about talking about the passion of the job and your background, kind of fill me, what's your kind of general advice to people looking to buy a home, and how you kind of counsel them? What do you kind of start with?
Right now, everybody is still so focused on the interest rates. And the biggest piece of advice I can give to anybody that's in the market right now is you have to stop focusing on the interest rates and focus on what that monthly payment is. If that monthly payment works for your financial budget and you have the funds for the down payment and closing costs, and you're not feeling that you are going to be living paycheck to paycheck, buy the house. I can assure you that the purchase price of these homes is not dropping. It is continually going up at this moment.
Yeah, I think that's great advice to kind of unbox that, because I think that's one of the hardest parts, is overcoming this idea that you can time the market, or when rates improve, it'll become so much more affordable. And I think that's where people aren't being strategic enough. Would you agree with that? Exactly.
I totally agree with that. There are a lot of people that may think that, okay, well, when the interest rate comes down to, let's say, the mid-5s, that their $350,000 purchase is going to be that significantly cheaper. Well, if the house is $350,000 right now and rates don't get to the mid-5s for another 2 years, that house could be $400,000, $425,000 by that point in time, depending on what the market's looking like. Then you're paying $50,000 to $75,000 over what you could have gotten the house for a couple years prior. That interest rate difference, I promise you, you are not going to be saving money. You're going to be spending more money on that one.
And I couldn't agree, because one of the things I think we're as human beings, we're eternally overly cautious. Yeah. And we miss out on opportunities by just being risk adverse. Yeah. But if you never buy, you have nothing to sell, and then you never get in the game.
Exactly.
Start.
Exactly.
So let's keep going down this kind of path. So you're talking about general advice. Now let's talk through your outlook for 2025. What are you currently seeing in the marketplace?
Yeah. So December is generally a slower month. Holidays are here. There's a lot going on. People have a lot of holiday parties, family events, whatever. And right now, my phone personally has been ringing like crazy. And what that is telling me is that people are jumping in the market early. And when people are jumping in the market this early before the new year even starts, you are likely to enter into a very competitive spring market in the following year. So I'm anticipating on the spring of 2025 being pretty busy. And I would totally recommend, if you are planning on waiting to the spring, that right now may be a good time to jump in.
So people looking to buy in 2025 who are watching this, how could they be more prepared or get prepared to participate and buy a home looking in 2025?
As we get into 2025 with the competitiveness, and it is going to depend on property specific, it's going to be specific homes that may have more competition. But I would be planning on making a decision relatively quick. You're not going to have a few days to sit there and think about, do I want to make an offer on this house? Is this the house for us? If it feels right when you walk in during that showing, you got the vibes, you love the kitchen, you love the bedrooms, the bathrooms, you probably want to pull the trigger on that property at that point in time so that you don't miss out on it.
That's good. So what, with those people looking to buy and getting prepared, what do you tell them? Do you say start with a mortgage application, saving money? Where do you start with those people looking to buy, and how you go over that process with them?
I would start the mortgage process right now. I would say let's start focusing on crunching the numbers on certain price points to make sure that price point is actually within the means that you feel comfortable on spending on a monthly basis. That way, when the spring market does come and there are more homes on the market at that point in time, we've already done the homework. We know what those monthly mortgage estimates are looking like. We know that if you need to go a little bit above the list price on a certain house, what that monthly mortgage payment looks like. You feel more comfortable. You feel more relaxed to make that offer, as opposed to waiting until the spring, not having had any conversation about the mortgage and jumping in, getting under contract to then find out, holy crap, this mortgage is $500 more expensive a month than I'm wanting to pay. And now I'm under contract. Do I want to do this?
And I think that's so important. What you said right there is that most people wait to say that they buy a house the inverse of how they should, meaning they find the house and then they think about getting pre-qualified and then they call you in a crunch. And then it's a bad experience because you're behind the eight ball proverbially, and you're really starting the process where you should really go the opposite extreme, which is be prepared, make an application, look at your finances, i.e. your cash, your credit, and your income, right? To start that process.
Absolutely.
So when we look forward to 2025, what do you tell first-time home buyers who want to participate in the market?
First-time home buyers are actually some of my favorite clients to work with, because I get the opportunity to really educate them a lot on how this process actually works and what all different strategies I can come up with for them. For first-time home buyers entering in the market, I would anticipate on having maybe a price point that you are very comfortable with, a price point that you aren't extremely comfortable with, and maybe find something in the middle. Because the reality is going to be, depending on property specific as well, is if a first-time home buyer has to get competitive like everybody else in the market on a particular home, I want them to still feel comfortable with that monthly payment. So maybe looking at homes in a lower price point to start out could be something advantageous for somebody who's never been in the market to look for a home before. Jumping in and getting outbid can be an extremely stressful, mind-battling thing for a lot of first-time home buyers. Sure,
absolutely. When first-time home buyer asks you about different programs, specifically about maybe down payment assistance or Home Possible, Home Ready, those lower down payments, 3% down, how do you counsel them which direction to go, for the IHCDA versus maybe a 3% down program?
Yeah, so it really is going to be client specific. It's going to depend on what their financial situation is at that time. If you are coming to me and you only have a few $1,000s and there's no way that you're going to ever be able to save up a full 3% down payment, well, then the IHCDA, Indiana Housing Down Payment Assistance Program, is probably the way for you to go. There obviously are some caveats with that program that I'm not going to get into on this. We can talk further into that if somebody would like to. But it is a unique and good program for somebody if you actually do need that. Now, if somebody has the savings for a down payment, I'm always going to recommend Home Ready, Home Possible. There's more flexibility with that program. You can refinance when you want. You can sell when you want. There's just a little less stipulation or restriction, I should say, way less restriction than an Indiana Housing Down Payment Assistance Program. So I do think, especially for first-time home buyers, making sure, as long as you're within the income limits, talking about a Home Ready, Home Possible program is always going to be the best bet for them.
That's awesome advice. So let's keep going down this path of buying, and let's go more specifically working with Steve Clark. Share about your approach, because you've had a lot of success in 2024, which is one of the lowest home sales in a course of a year on record.
Yeah.
Home sales are at the lowest they've been in almost something like 30 years.
Yeah.
So talk through when you have a client and they're looking to buy an offer in a competitive situation. How do you work with that client? What are some of those strategies you do to get their offers accepted and support them?
Part of being successful in this industry is, one, being a genuine person. People want to work with genuine people. People want to work with somebody they trust. People want to work with somebody that's answering the questions that they're asking. People want to work with somebody that is there for them. And that is something that I really aim towards with all my clients, is making sure that they're getting that level of comfort and a level of service that they deserve as they go through this process. There are competitive situations, and how do I set myself differently towards for clients than other lenders? I will say the most recent thing that I can think of is I recently had a closing that I was sitting at the table and the listing agent said, "Steve, I wanted to wait to say this to your face." And he said, "Just so you know, you are the only reason that your clients got their offer accepted."
Really?
And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And he said, "Well, we had 26 showings on this house. We had 3 offers. 2 of the other offers were significantly better than yours. But what that listing agent does is he picks up the phone and he calls every single lender to talk through the finances a little bit, as much as he can, right, with a lender to make sure that before they accept the offer that they're actually legitimate. Without saying the other company names and stuff like that, the listing agent called the other 2 lenders 5 times, left voicemails. Neither one of them ever picked up the phone and called him back. When he called me, I happened to answer on the first call, talked through the finances as much as I possibly could a little bit, ensured him that this was a transaction that would close, and they're now in their forever home. And so it's stuff like that on a Friday night or a Saturday morning or a Sunday evening, whatever it may be, you need people like me or MJW in your corner to be able to get you to the closing table. And it is little stuff like that does work.
That's awesome. And I think that's important to highlight the service of what we're trying to do as a company, and you as an originator and doing a great job. And I love hearing stories like that. So kudos
absolutely.
to you, man.
Thanks, man.
That's awesome. So again, thanks again a lot for coming on the pod today and talking through you and your stories. And I really do appreciate you taking the time to getting together and getting you on here.
For sure. Thanks so much. And look forward to doing more.
Yeah, let's go.